right.
All right. Shall we get to the NFL coaching carousel?
Yes. Because,
Let's do it because we have news. Go ahead.
yeah.
Or did you want to talk about the breaking news first, or where did you want to go? Why don't you take it?
Well, we do have breaking news. Right before we got on, it was reported by senior NFL insider Adam Schefter that the Baltimore Ravens are hiring LA Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter to be their next head coach. So he gets to come in and coach the two-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Of course, Jesse Minter is very familiar with the Ravens organization. So to me, this hire is really not a surprise at all. And we'll see if he's able to reestablish the defensive identity in Baltimore. You go and look at his stats while he was with the Chargers defensively this season. I feel like for that group, they completely overachieved. It seemed like they were top 10 in most categories. And you're like, you're doing that with who? Like, it didn't feel like there's anybody outside of Derwin James really on that Chargers defensive unit that really stood out.
I mean, an older Khalil Mack as a pass rusher, that's about it. But I agree with you.
So, and now you're coming to Baltimore where you got like Marlon Humphrey, um, Kyle
Kyle
Ham.
Hamilton
Yeah, thank you. So you have pieces to reestablish that
and
identity.
DK on the defensive line.
Yes, exactly.
Roquan Smith at linebacker. So I agree with you, and I think it makes sense. He coached under Harbaugh, under both Harbaughs, because he was with Jim at Michigan and with the Chargers. Um, you know, I think that this was their way of thinking. Hey, we want Mike McDonald out the door 2 years ago. Want him to go be a head coach. Let's try to repeat what Mike McDonald did, and let's kind of take the Harbaugh tree and modernize it.
Yeah, but you better get the right offensive coordinator.
Well, I keep hearing that reportedly Cliff Kingsbury could be the OC there, which I think would be a great fit for them.
He didn't do great as the head coach in Arizona, though.
No, but he's done great as an OC. We know his track record with what he's done with Jaden Daniels. We know what he did with Kyler Murray. He did get Kyler Murray to the playoffs in Arizona. Nobody else did that.
That part is true. You know what's funny is like we haven't heard anything in terms of who the Arizona Cardinals are interviewing. We haven't
I've
heard,
I've heard Vance Joseph, Sean McDermott, maybe Mike McCarthy.
and you told me the Raiders were set to hire Brian Flores, but he just signed a contract extension in Minnesota.
Well, he did, but he's also a front runner for the Steelers job, which is weird. So I don't know what Vegas is doing, to be honest with you.
No, um, but the real situation that's interesting is Cleveland because it seems like everybody's saying nope, no, thank you. Which, as a Browns fan, I completely understand because of our damn owner. He
Well, it's
ruined
not that you have a general manager that can't draft.
it. Andrew Barry has not been great as a general manager. I'll give you that. You put those two outside of this recent draft class. I gotta give him credit for that. Outside of Dylan Gabriel, because he was a total flop.
And
Um,
Shador Sanders, maybe. And that's the thing, Josh. It doesn't matter if all those other picks are great. If you don't get the quarterback right, it doesn't matter. And that's what the Brown situation is. Buffalo may have bad general managership. They may have bad ownership. I talked about this at the start of the show. They have Josh Allen. They're going to get a good coach. The
yeah,
Browns may not have a quarterback. So they are looking for a young, offensive, innovative mind if they can ensure themselves that they can keep Jim Schwartz. Otherwise, they're just going to promote him.
yeah. I don't even know if the Browns have honored the Rooney Rule yet or not.
My dream. By the way, I did a huge rant on X/Twitter about the Rooney Rule. If you want to look at it, it has about 31,000 views right now and over probably 300 likes. But if I was running the Browns, if it was up to me, I think people would shit on this hire, and that hire being Grant Uditsky, the Jaguars' young offensive coordinator. but he reminds me a lot of Sean McVay. And I think him compared with Jim Schwartz, who could be like what Wade Phillips was to Sean McVay early in his career in Los Angeles. Not a lot of people are going to like it because they want an experienced head coach. They don't want a young offensive mind. I actually think it'd be a great hire.
Honestly, the guy I really wanted was Robert Saleh, but he's now with the Tennessee Titans, which that's going to be an interesting pairing, him and Cam Ward. I don't.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If Brian Dable does not become his offensive coordinator, I'm very interested to see who becomes the offensive coordinator because that'll ultimately decide how well he does, in my opinion, in Tennessee. It's a
Yeah,
little bit of a weird fit. That was a weird one to me.
I do think he could help the Titans defense, especially when you got Jeffrey Simmons. But you don't really have
And
any.
who? I mean, who else?
Well, that's my point. Like, you don't really have anybody else, but maybe he can go in there and improve the defense and make them household names. But I'll tell you what, the other one that was interesting was Miami because they go out, they hire a general manager from Green Bay, and then they turn around and hire Jeff Halfley. Are they going to become Green Bay South?
Maybe. I'm surprised you didn't mention Atlanta with Stefanski because now we know there's some bad blood going on there with him and Baker Mayfield.
Oh, I absolutely love this. I absolutely love this. I'm so glad you brought this up. Um, when I saw that, I'm like, yes, this is what I want. Like, they have to see each other twice a season. Um, as much as I love Kevin Stefanski and didn't want him fired, I hope when Baker Mayfield goes against the Falcons for the first time, he goes for like 300 plus yards, throws for 2 or 3 touchdowns, and he shoves it right in Stefanski's
Yeah,
face.
I hope the NFL makes one of their games a primetime game, shove it right in the Browns' face. It's interesting. Stefanski's bringing along Bill Callahan, offensive line coach. He's bringing along Tommy Reese as his offensive coordinator, which tells you he believes it was not his fault at all in Cleveland, and we're about to figure out who's going to be right on that side of it because I'm very interested in what they do at the quarterback position. And Atlanta's former offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, is now going to be down in Tampa with Baker Mayfield. And I actually think that's a really good fit down there because he runs a very similar scheme to what William Cohen and Dave Canales ran when Baker had success.
Yeah. So last season, before the schedule came out, I predicted that the Cleveland Browns would open the season on the road at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough against the New England Patriots. I ended up being dead ass wrong about that, as instead, that game ended up happening in week 8. And instead, we hosted the Cincinnati Bengals to open the season. Um, so prior to this Atlanta news with Kevin Stefanski, my prediction was, oh, we're going to host the Indianapolis Colts in week 1. Well, now that Stefanski is in Atlanta, I think the NFL schedule makers are going to play on that. And I am now changing my schedule prediction. In week 1, I'm going to say either in the 4 o'clock window or in prime time, it will be the Atlanta Falcons at Cleveland Browns. Week 1, Stefanski makes his return to Cleveland.
I don't think they're going to give the Browns a primetime game because they don't know how good Shedeur Sanders is, at least a standalone early in the game, unless it's a Thursday night, which is why I think like week 2. Yeah, I could see Falcons Browns being a Thursday night game.
Okay, so you agree with me that like that game's going to be early in the season, you know?
To be honest with you, this is what I would do if I was a schedule maker. Week 1, I'm putting the Browns at Tampa, and week 2, I'm having the Falcons come to Cleveland.
You know, it's ironic you say that because remember the last time we played the NFC South, the Browns opened the season at Carolina.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was Baker Mayfield's game at Carolina. That was the Browns game against Baker, and that was the first time the Browns have won in week 1 since like 2004.
Yes. Excuse me. But you know, it's interesting. Again, we haven't really heard anything from the Arizona Cardinals. We haven't heard anything from the Raiders. Some of these other teams, like you are primarily hearing about what's going on in Buffalo, what's going on in Pittsburgh. We were hearing a lot about what's going on in Baltimore. You know,
You're hearing more about what's going on in Philly at offensive coordinator than you are about the Cardinals or Raiders head coaching jobs.
yeah. Um, and by the way, what did you think of Mike McDaniel choosing to be the Chargers offensive coordinator?
I think it's a good fit for him. I like it better. I did not want him being the OC in Philly. I actually did not think it'd be a good fit with Jalen Hurts because McDaniel's a lot of under center, which Jalen is obviously not as comfortable with. I think him and Harbaugh are going to work really well together, and I think that this could lead into a better head coaching opportunity down the line. So I do think it's a really good fit.
He thinks the Chargers are going to be special.
I,
Which
I mean, if they get their tackles back, I'm telling you right now, a little bit of an off-season February take. Chargers to the Super Bowl. It's out there.
they they have to improve their skill position players for me also. Like I like Quentin Johnston, but who else? I like Omari and Hampton, but
Len McConkey, I like Gaskin. He came out at the end of the year. Like they maybe need to have one more piece, but I think they're pretty there.
I don't I don't fully trust their skill position group yet. I just don't.